welcome everybody to another great episode of Real Life Matters. Of course, I am your host, DBoss, and I just hope that everybody's been doing their 15 minutes or laughing and more, because that helps release a lot of stress, releases all those endorphins in your body. It also heals your body. It also tones your abs, but you're not stop going to the gym. It heals yourself, and what you start your day is how you're going to get what you're going to get back in your day. So this is why I always tell people, if you can do 15 minutes laughing or more is better, because then it's good. Because then that way you can, it's going to hurt your stomach. You're going to hurt your face, but you're going to be looking youthful after and saying, wow, I wish I would have did this before. So, these are good things. It's good things. And there's so many health benefits to laughing. And also I'm going to be bringing up, I said in several episodes before, about the health benefits to coconut water and drinking coconut water, and also watermelon is another great thing. So I'm going to come up with some other stuff to give everybody some good tips with regards to the fact of watermelon and coconut water. And maybe some people know already, but people don't know. But, it's something good for you, so you can incorporate these things in your daily life and, live longer, live better. They say health is wealth. So I have a great guest that's coming up here, and she's an author. So we're going to be finding out what made her want to be an author, become an author, and what novel is she releasing now. So we're going to hear something from one of our sponsors, from Vital Steps to Vital Health, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to your Vital Steps to Better Health and Fitness. I'm Joanne James. Today we're talking about how exercise affects stress. Everybody has stress in some way in their lives, but regular exercise is a powerful tool for managing your stress level. A couple of things that it does. One is it releases endorphins, which is a feel-good hormone, into your system that gives you more energy, makes you feel good, and reduces your anxiety and probably eliminates your depression. Also, exercise is a distraction. It keeps you thinking about other things other than your problems that you're having. So exercise whenever you're feeling stressed, that will distract you. Exercise also improves your sleep quality by regulating your sleep pattern, which is increasing your resilience to stress. So get a good night's sleep, and you'll get that after you exercise. So make sure you incorporate exercise into your daily lifestyle, and that way you'll get a lot less stress in your life. I'm Joanne James, and this has been your Vital Steps to Better Health and Fitness. See you next time.
Well, thank you, Joanne James, for that health tip. You see, endorphins, working out is another thing also. So, you can laugh, work out, drink some coconut water, and have some watermelon, all during the day. So then that way you're all covered. All right. So I have here coming up a very special lady, and she's an author, and she just releasing a young woman's struggle with the intergenerational trauma of hate. And we're going to find out about that, because that seems like it's it's probably not just her struggle, but it's probably a lot of other people's struggles. But we're going to find out where she came from, why she wanted to be an author, and everything else. So with no further ado, I introduce to you AVIVA RUBIN.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yes, I was great to. I'm telling you, well, we got that novel, and it's a long thing, but we're going to get right into it in a moment.
I thought you were talking about laughing as I was listening to the intro.
Yes.
I thought I would just, before we get into the topic of the novel,
yes,
it's a pretty heavy topic. The novel's a pretty heavy topic to talk about, but I just wanted to talk about the fact that, this is my debut novel, and I am not young. So I'm having to learn all sorts of technology in order to sort of promote myself and push myself out there, like Instagram, and use Twitter, and, develop little promo pieces. So this is how technologically backwards I am. I was heading over here, like getting home for the interview, and I was leaving a parking lot, and I had to put my little parking ticket into the, into the slot in order for them to lift the thing and let you pay. And I'm pushing and pushing, and there's a line up behind me, and some guy's like, "You okay?" And I'm like, "I'm having some trouble here." So he sends his wife over, and I was trying to push the ticket into the credit card slot. So I'm like, that was difficult. You can imagine the Instagram and everything.
Well, those things that, if you're not expecting to be doing all that, especially too when you're parking, you just get somebody that's in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, I can do that for you. But I just, as long as you just laughed it off after.
Well, yeah, I did. So you've got to, if you're trying to learn technology at a later stage.
Well, you can't learn, you just have to put your mindset that you can't learn everything. You just have to learn what applies to you and what you do every day. And that's what I always tell people, just let's learn what your aspects of your job that you have to do and know how to do, or things that you have to do. You don't have to, because if you start taking it, you got to learn everything. You'll never, you won't accomplish anything.
Yeah.
So just apply what you need to want to do. And then that way that half the stress is off.
Exactly.
And you'll know, once you know that you can take the file from here, step 1, step 2, step 3, then do this, that, and that's all. If that's all you have to do, then all that stress is gone.
Yeah.
So the next thing is, here at Real Life Matters, we like to know everybody where their cultural background and where they come from, in case so people can relate. So can you tell us?
Sure. I'm actually born and bred in Toronto. My parents are from Toronto, and my grandparents are Jewish, Ashkenazi Jewish, as I am, from Eastern Europe, so Poland and Russia.
Okay. See, well, you never know. People might want to relate to you.
Well, yeah.
All right. So what made you, Aviva, want to become an author?
Well, I've been writing for quite a long time, although I was a bureaucrat for many years, but I've always loved to write on the side. And I've spent the last decade or a little bit more writing more memoir, sort of stories about my own life that have been published. I was diagnosed with cancer about, I guess it's about 11 years ago. And I ended up writing about that, and people could really relate. And I've got a voice that's I can be pretty funny about topics that are quite heavy. And I think that helps people. It's a go through a really trying time. And I wrote pieces about decluttering my house, about raising my kids. So I was doing that, but all the way along, I had an interest in writing a novel. And it just took quite a long time to get there. The idea for this particular novel, which is called White, came from during the 1990s. I did a lot of activism, like anti-fascist and anti-racist activism at a time in Toronto where there was a lot of white supremacist activity. And there was this guy, Ernst Zundel, who was basically like a professional Holocaust denier, and all sorts of groups sort of formed around that kind of belief system. So we did a lot of activism at that time. So that gave me the idea for the novel. And I also have had a very dear friend who did sort of infiltrating of a neo-Nazi group in Montreal. So all of those pieces kind of came together to give me the idea for the novel, which I'm happy to tell you about when you want to ask.
Yes. So, the name. So is this your first novel, or you said you've been writing for a while?
I've been writing for a while, but I wrote a memoir, but I've never written a novel. This is my first fiction. Okay.
So tell us about the memoir, A Young Woman's Struggle with the Intergenerational Trauma of Hate.
Yeah. So the story is, the young woman's name is Sarah Cartel, and she grows up in a white supremacist family. So a family that is haters, basically. And she, along the way in her childhood, meets a friend and then a librarian who completely change her views. And so she has to hide that change from her family, and decides as she gets a little bit older that she wants to fight that movement from within, because she's already part of that family. She's already known to have those views. So that's what she decides to do. And there's pretty awful psychological consequences to that decision. And that's sort of the story follows her. The beginning of the story, you start off, she is on her way to a mental institution in Toronto from Montreal, where she was at university. So you know from the very beginning that things do not go well. And then you get the whole story, the story of her childhood and the story of her trying to fight the white supremacy and sort of believing that she could actually achieve that, it's such a huge thing to try to do. And she feels determined to do it and kind of make up for her family's hateful beliefs.
Okay. All right. So that's why the cover is white, like pure white.
It is white. The other piece, the intergenerational trauma piece, is so although the story is grounded in the history of white supremacy in Canada and partly in the United States as well, it's also the story of growing up in any kind of a family where there are just generations and generations of trauma that gets passed on. So her grandfather is kind of pure horrible, and he
pure horrible. I can't even fear.
He's evil, and
just say he's very evil.
Yeah, he's pretty irredeemable. And so her father and her father's siblings, and then her and her brothers, it's just the generations that pass that down. So whether it's a different kind of, religious fundamentalism or a belief system that is oppressive, and then the children of those children carry that on. So that's the intergenerational trauma piece. So once Sarah goes out in the world, she's already been traumatized as her father has been traumatized by being raised that way.
Okay. All right. So, so you have, it's already been released or it hasn't been released?
I have it here. It's the publication date is actually October the 1st, and it is it's available to order now. But it's starting to be in stores. I think a friend of mine sent me a picture the other day, and she's like, "Look what I have," and I was like, "I don't have that yet." But she had ordered it through somewhere, and they had gotten the book in, and so she was the first person to lay her actual hands on it, even before my publisher.
All right, So how much is the book about? It's a hardcover. Look,
it's fat, but it is a soft cover.
Oh, and, looks like a hard. It looks pretty good though. It looks like a hard.
Oh, thanks. I think it looks pretty good too. I think it's like $24 or something like that. Something around.
And how many pages? It looks like a little bit more than.
Oh, it's kind of fat. It's 400 and.
That's what I thought.
Oh, no, that's just the end acknowledgements. I won't tell you that part. It's around 430 pages, something like that. Yeah, it's pretty long, although the choice of font was quite large, so it's easy to read. So it may feel like a little slightly less than that number of pages.
So people could read stuff today, and it's not hard, to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this book's coming. So it's available. So it's going to be selling on Amazon, is it? Or
yeah, it seems to be available everywhere. In the States, it's like Barnes and Noble. Plus, you can go on a platform for any indie bookstores of people who don't want to buy off of the bigger sellers. And here, Indigo and Another Story on Ronson's Vales, which is going to be selling my books at my book launch, which is exciting. You can get it through them. You can get it through any other indie bookstore or Indigo or Amazon. So yeah, it's available everywhere.
Okay. All right. So
in the U.S. at this point.
Well, listen, the U.S. obviously friends got.
Yeah.
All right. So are you working on anything else, or are you just going to be pushing this one for a while?
Well, I'm trying to do both. I am working on 2 other novels at the same time. They're slightly on hiatus as I'm trying to learn all the things I need to learn to promote this. They're very, very different, lighter fare, I would say. One of them is set on the eve of the 2016 American election, and it's a mother and daughter story. And the daughter was like a big Hillary supporter. The mother did not vote that way, and there's this huge tension. And the kid has decided that she's going to go off and camp by herself, which she's never done, not tell her mother, and just sort of kind of meditate. She's so excited that Hillary Clinton's going to be the first woman president. Anyway, obviously it doesn't go that way, and she ends up heading out to camp anyhow, so that's that story. And she meets people of ghosts while she's out there. So that's that story. And the other novel is about a woman in her later 50s who's like a math whiz, but has worked for a firm that does like money management for a long time, where she does everything but never gets acknowledged for it. And and her boss ends up, like, you find out right at the beginning, her boss has a heart attack, and she starts finding, so he leaves and she finds out all of these things that she never wanted to know about him and about the firm and about what's actually going on. And she has to change the way that she approaches other people. So so those are the two novels that I'm working on. We'll see what happens.
Well, at least you got something else, you know, like you don't have to go, you don't got to go, what am I going to write about?
No, I feel grateful. I sort of had this idea in my mind that if you don't actually have another plan, like you better have another, like a plan B while you're working on, because it took me a long time to finish the White. Like I worked on it for, like well over a decade before. And it's
a decade. Wow.
Yes, I know. And it changed over time, like, you know, killed off characters and scenes and plot lines. But it took, and in a lot of ways, I tell myself that this was the moment that it was meant to come out. There's a lot to talk about. There's unfortunately a greater and greater acceptance for these kinds of belief systems in Canada and especially in the United States right now. So a lot of permission for hate and racism. So so I say, you know, okay, it took a long time to get it published, but this is the moment for it. So just sort of hold on to that.
Well, we'll hold on to it. All right. So you told us it took a decade. So do you think that you want to do a movie of this after, or you never know?
Oh, I certainly do. Or just a series would be fine. Yes. But you know, I guess we'll see what happens. I don't really know how all of that works. I suppose everybody feels hopeful that something will happen and that somebody will want to do something with your baby. And I guess we'll see. We'll start with like people buying it and reading it and talking about it, and then yeah, of course, that's my big hope.
All right.
I have to tell you that over the years that I was writing it, I kept coming up with like different actors that could play the main character. And then they kept aging out, you know, because the main character is only 19. So it was like, nope, that person doesn't work anymore. Nope, that person's now too old. So that's what happens when it takes you that long to write a book.
Well, you know, because a lot of the people in the movies, they're not actually the ages they are, right? So
well, that's true. That's true. Just have to find somebody young looking that's good at it, good at acting.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So are there any shout outs that you want to give to your people over the years that supported you?
Well, I guess I would start with my family, my parents, my father, who just kept saying, when is that book coming out? When is that book coming out? That's a form of support. And my kids, who tolerated all of my stuff. And a big shout out to Rebooks and Rebecca Eckler and Chloe Robinson and the team there, and Sasha, my publicist, who have like put a lot of time and effort and championing in for me. So I'm very excited. I'm excited to say a big thanks to them.
All right. So if people want to, okay, I guess they can order the bill. You said earlier. So if people want to follow you on your social medias, where can they find you?
Yeah, I think it's AVIVA RUBIN _author on Instagram, and AVIVA RUBIN author on Facebook. So if you want to, I have an author page on Facebook. All
right. So I guess you got to do one spin-off page, White, and then the novel.
Yeah.
Because you can put little stuff or little plots from it.
All right. I spend too much time now going back and forth between my author page and my personal page, trying to figure out what's going on.
Well, you know, when you come back with something else, I wish you all the success on this novel. People go out there, you know, purchase the novel. It took her a decade to do it, so.
Yeah, let's hope the next one goes more quickly.
Oh, but I'm saying that's a decade for the other ones, but you know, it seems like she already got a pretty good. It's always your first one that, you know, is the toughest one to crank out. So
yeah, as I always say, thank goodness you only have to write the first one once.
Yes, and you picked and plus it's also you picked a difficult topic. So you have to make sure you have your research and your stuff done, so you know
Yeah,
people
sure.
understand all that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And like, if I could just give one tiny shout out also about
Yes.
the research. I based a lot of it. Warren Kinsella in the 1990s wrote a book called Web of Hate, and he did a ton of background research into white supremacy in Canada. And I feel really grateful that I could sort of base the book on a lot of the hard work that he did too.
Oh wow! You see, when you start to talk, you start to arrive. Oh yes, him.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, I forgot.
But it's okay. People know that. But even though people do go when they watch the interview, let me see who she shouts out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now they listen to the whole thing, but I always tell everybody it's always that part. Well, why don't you going to thank me publicly? You know?
Oh, like Deanna McFadden, my editor, who's an amazing editor. So now that you're saying this, I'm like, who am I forgetting? Anyway,
Yes.
there'll always be someone forgotten.
Yes, well, you know, anybody forgot, I'm still thinking of you in my head.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for saying that. Exactly.
It's all good. All right, so I do want to thank you, AVIVA RUBIN, you know, and please go up there and get your novel, you know, her novel, White, and the other ones that follow, following that with her. And, you know, go follow her social media, ask about it. Maybe you can get an early copy before it really comes out, just like our people in the U.S. All right, so I do want to thank everybody for tuning in with AVIVA RUBIN's journey, her first novel, White. So good night and bye for now.
Thanks so much.